Today we're doing something different. I'm going through all the 20 Premier League teams and I'm picking one underrated player in each squad this season. And I promise you by the end of the video, there is players that will look completely different. Let's dive in. I'll start with the league leaders, Arsenal. It's difficult to choose an underrated player in these big teams because everyone is perfectly rated. But I hear a lot of Premier League fans in general or football fans in general talk about Bukayo, Gabriel, and Saliba, which are incredible last season. I guess the best defensive player in the Premier League. I think they're probably the best defensive player in the world also. But there is a player that goes under the radar, and that's the player I'm gonna pick. It's Julian Timber. I think Julian Timber has a lot of importance in that Arsenal team and in the way that Arteta plays. For me, I think he's easily the second best right back in the world after Hakimi. Yes, Trent is good, Koundé is good, but I think Julian Timber, what he brings in is completely different. The way he inverts from fullback to midfield, for me, it's insane because he plays as an extra midfielder when Arsenal has possession, but the way also he defends, his versatility, his tactical intelligence, for me, Timber is absolutely crucial to how Arsenal play, and yet nobody talks about him. I think that needs to change. The next player I've chosen to go with is John McGinn in that Villa side. I don't think he's the sexiest player out there, but he's the most solid player in the Premier League for the last few years. I think McGinn is the Villa's engine. He covers every blade of the glass, fits in with goals, and he's a leader on the pitch. I don't get why he doesn't get more recognition in the Premier League. I think for me, a great Villa team needs John McGinn in it, you know. They might have Andrew Onana, Boubacar Kamara, Yuri Tielemans as midfield, you know. His importance in that Villa side can be overstated. For me, I think he's one of the best Premier League players in the last few years. And the next player I want to talk about plays for Bournemouth. Bournemouth has been really unfair this season. Last season, I would have talked about Antoine Semenyo, but no, everyone knows him right now. So I went for a different player. I went for Eli Junior Hopi. I think it's fair that he's underrated given the fact that he signed for them this summer. I think even Andoni Raiola hasn't given him enough game time, and people will soon realize that we're talking about maybe a generational talent here. He already scored his first Premier League goal, I think it was against Leeds, equalizer at the 91 minute. And people can see already that he's special. He only played 21 minutes, but believe me, Eli Junior Hopi is going straight to the top. Let's keep going with another team. I'm talking about Brentford. Brentford, the player I've chosen is one of my favorite players to watch in the Premier League, and I went for Mikel Damsgaard. For me, I really like that player. He's an insane player marker, and the fact that he's not still being considered in the Premier League's best player marker for me says a lot. His vision, his set pieces, his long ball. Damsgaard is absolutely class at everything, and Brentford are so dangerous when Damsgaard is on the ball. You know, I know that last season they had Wissa and Mbeumo scoring loads of goals, so people forgot who created those changes, but Damsgaard was behind all that. I hope this season, without those strikers, he will get maybe more recognition. Let's see. The next club I'm continuing is with Brighton. And Brighton, I've already talked about the player that I think is underrated on this channel. It's Jan-Paul Van Hecke. For me, I think he's one of the best Premier League defenders, and yet nobody talks about him. Van Hecke is so composed with the ball. He wins duels. He reads the game brilliantly, and for me, I wouldn't be even shocked if he would be playing for the Premier League champions, Liverpool. You know, I think that's genuinely his level. And if Liverpool are looking for a defense after the Konate transfer, maybe this summer, if he ends up leaving on a free, they will be looking for at Jan-Paul Van Hecke. For me, it's criminal that he doesn't have the recognition he deserves. Going to Burnley, honestly, I had to be for real with you. I don't watch Burnley that a lot, but one of the players that stood out when I watched them this season against, for example, Spurs, against Liverpool, was Maxime Esteve. Although Maxime Esteve scored 2 own goals against City, I don't forget his good beginning of the season. He looks solid, he looks composed, and the defense just looks way better with him in it. And I don't think one bad game defines the quality of the player. For me, Maxime Esteves is a bit underrated in the Premier League, I think, especially after his game against Manchester City. And the next club I want to talk about is Chelsea. And this one might be maybe controversial because my underrated player in that Chelsea team is Marco Cuellar. For me, he's the best player in that Chelsea team. It's not Cole Palmer, it's not Moises Caicedo, it's not Enzo Fernandez, it's Cuellar. For me, his defensive work is elite. Again, look at his game against Liverpool. You will tell me Salah isn't that good, but his defensive performances is a key threat. His assist at the last minute, for me, he's been the most consistent Chelsea player for me so far this season and even last season. And although Palmer gets all the headlines, I think Cucurella is absolutely crucial to everything Chelsea do. You know, for me, I would even go to say that he is the best left back in the league. The next club I'm gonna talk about is Crystal Palace, and I'm gonna go with another fullback. Of course, I'm talking about Daniel Munoz, the Colombian right back. He's an absolute beast in the terms of defending, but he's also impressive going forward. He's already has 1 goal and taken 1 assist in 7 games, which is a good output from a right back. He's physical, he's got pace, he can cross, he can. Munoz is the complete package. He can do everything, and I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. The next club I want to talk about is Everton. Everton are really having a great beginning of the season. They beat Crystal Palace, and one of the players that stood out for me is James Garner. For me, I think he's a solid midfielder this season, but for me has impressed me even at left back when he has been asked to play there. You know, Garner is one of those players that does the simple things but does them really well. You know, he keeps the ball, he recycles the possession, and he works hard defensively. He's not the flashy player out there. He's not the most flashy player out there, but he's really, really vital to how Everton function. You know, for me, he's a bit underrated in the Premier League. The next player I want to talk about is Alex Iwobi at Fulham. For me, I think he's easily their best player, and still nobody talks about him in the conversation of the best player markers in the league. For me, since he joined Fulham, he has completely transformed his career. 1 goal and 2 assists in just 540 minutes this season. He's already cooking, you know. And I want to ask you a question: is, for example, a player like Eberechi, is he really better than Alex Iwobi? Because I'm not convinced, you know. I'm not sure. Iwobi has transformed at Fulham, as I said. His creativity, his ball carrying skills, and his intelligence, for me, he's absolutely elite, you know. And I think it's maybe time that he gets another chance in a top club. I think. Let's see what he does till the end of the season. Let's see how he cooks, and he's also gonna represent the Nigeria at the World Cup. Let's see. The next club I want to talk about is Leeds. I've been watching Leeds this season. It's like every time they're in the Premier League, their energetic brand of football is really nice to watch. And this one gonna be an obvious one because I'm gonna talk about Ethan Ampadu. And I think people still remember the same Ethan Ampadu that flopped at Chelsea, but this is not Ethan Ampadu anymore. We're talking about a solid captain of a Premier League team, and yet nobody talks about him. Ampadu has become a leader. He's versatile, can play as a centre back, but can also play in that midfield. For me, I think he's been just massive for Leeds and deserves more recognition for the way he's developed. By the way, another one who deserves recognition is this channel. A lot of you are watching but are not yet subscribed. Please do so, subscribe for more football content so that I can do more of these videos. And the next club I'm going to talk about is Liverpool. Liverpool, I would have liked to go with Federico Chiesa, but I think everyone at Liverpool, everyone rates him. It's just Slot who doesn't rate him. So I went for a different player, and I'm going to talk about Curtis Jones. If you watched my last video, you know that I talked about Jones. For me, Jones is one of the most underrated players in Liverpool. And what's crazy is that he's underrated by our own fan base. You know, Luke Jones, when he comes on, he's great on the ball. His press resistance, he just makes everything thick in that midfield. For me, this season I would even go for me has he has been quite better than McAllister, and still he doesn't get the headlines. Just watch when Jones comes on. He's really a great player. Even the way he keeps the ball, the way that he seems always to pop up with massive contribution, for me, I think he's really, really, really underrated, and mostly by Liverpool fan base. The next team I want to talk about is Manchester City with Nico O'Reilly. For me, I think he's a great young talent. For me, academy graduate. Wow, Manchester City have really an incredible academy, and I always find him impressive when he comes on, and even when he starts also as a left back, he's really mature in his game. He's only 20 years old, but he looks so comfortable in that Pep system. And we thought it would make another mistake by selling him. There were rumors this summer that he's gonna leave, but he ended up, I think, signing a long-term contract. I think O'Reilly is really a great talent. He can play multiple positions. He's intelligent, and he's got that sort of Manchester City DNA, you know. But because I think everyone is rated that Manchester City, nobody really talks about him. But mark my words, this kid is going to be really special. And I might even go with a prediction. I think he might be on the plane to America with England in 2026. Watch out for this one. The next team I'm going to talk about, of course, is the Adam team in Manchester. And I want to go with Lenny Euro because I think he's their best centre-back. Yes, the lead has been solid this season. He's been a leader, but I think for me, Lenny Euro is their best centre-back in terms of quality, and I don't get why he's the first to go out when Amorim wants to switch something. You know, the talent is clear. He's composed with the ball. He's quick. He's quick. He reads the game well. Yeah, I think for me, Manchester United should build their team around Lenny Euro rather than always removing him when the coach wants to adjust something. The next club I want to talk about, the other United team, Newcastle. I wanted to go with another player, but I went for Sandro Tonali. For me, Sandro Tonali, not that he's underrated, everyone knows how good he is, but for me, I think he's literally on the same pedigree as Gravenberch and Caicedo in terms of the best midfielders in the league. I think he's in that conversation. That's how good Sandro Tonali has been since he came back from his bad, but also this season. And I found some few stats that can back it up also, because he had 58 tackles in this season so far with 67 successful rate, 36 interception and 197 recovery. That's absolute workhorse numbers. And I think, as I said, since coming back from his bad, he's been immense. His energy, his ball winning skills, his passing rate. That's an Italian thing with Andrea Pirlo. With the comparison with Andrea Pirlo, I think Tonali for me is world class, and I think he's underrated in the Premier League. Not everyone consider him in that pedigree. The next team I want to talk about is Nottingham Forest, and for Forest I want to go with my guy Dylan Bakwa. For me, he was one of my preferred players to watch last season with Strasbourg. For me, he's an electric winger, the type of player that I want to watch football for, you know. And I think in the Premier League, he'll prove you soon that he is a quality player. He's direct, he's got skills, he can score, he can create chances, but can also score. You know, quite his box office, he just needs more game time. And he'll show you the quality he has. For me, I think he's still underrated in the Premier League because not everyone knows much about him. And the next player I want to talk about is Noah Sadiki in that Sunderland team, because I think Xhaka gets a lot of recognition for what he does in that midfield, and it's normal. Xhaka is really having a great beginning of the season. For me, the player that's beside him, Noah Sadiki, has been incredible. He's covering that midfield. His athleticism makes me think of N'Golo Kante at Leicester. The way he passes around, winning the ball back, covering the ground. You know, Sadiki, I think, is absolutely vital to what Regis Lebris wanna do with that Sunderland team. And the Kante comparisons for me are real. You know, if you watch standard, watch Noah Sadiki, you'll see that he's absolutely everywhere. And the next team I want to talk about is Tottenham. Tottenham are having a great beginning of the season. Thomas Frank is cooking. Who would have thought? Thomas Frank getting a chance at a bigger club, and he's doing well, you know. But the player I think is really underrated in that Tottenham side. It's Jed Spence. I think Jed Spence is your favorite is the right back that will lock up your favorite winger. You know, I think he maybe even for me he might be the best English fullback at the moment, and yet nobody talks about him. I think everyone is still stuck on the same Jet Smith that came to Spurs at a young age from Championship and flopped, but narratives has changed. We do, but things have changed. He's not that player anymore. He went with loans. I think he got a loan in I think Leeds, then Rennes, then Genoa, I think in Italy, and he's a completely different player. He's become really solid defensively, defensively solid, as I said, and he's really much more better going forward. And what I think that has changed a lot in his game is his maturity. He has matured by a ton in his game, you know. And I think the narratives needs to catch up. Jed Spence is really quality, and he's pushing for that fullback role at the World Cup. And the next team I want to talk about is West Ham, and I'm going for another fullback also. Fullback are apparently underrated. I'm gonna go with Malik Diop. For me, wow, what a left back. Even his price says how much he's underrated. 19 million for a 20-year-old Senegalese, you know. In already 7 games, he's had 3 assists. He's absolutely incredible going forward and great defensively too. You know, he's got pace, he's got technique, he can cross. For me, Juice has everything. He'll definitely not stay at West Ham for long. For me, I think a big club will come calling next summer. Mark my words. And the last team I want to talk about is Wolverhampton. Not gonna lie, Wolverhampton was difficult to find a player that's a bit underrated, but I went for a player that I already think creates chances, makes things happen when I see Wolves playing, and he doesn't get that much game time for me. I think it's Rodrigo Gomes. I think Rodrigo Gomes is always the most dangerous player on the pitch when he's playing for Wolves, and he has only just played 166 minutes this season. But in the Premier League, I think he's already their top scorer. He also scored another goal last season. But yeah, I think his efficiency is crazy. And I think Wolves need to give him more game time, because every time he's on the pitch, something happens. He's a really exciting player. So there you have it, the most underrated players in each team this season so far. I guarantee you would disagree with at least 5 of them. Let me know in the comments, what are your picks? Who's the most underrated player maybe in the Premier League? Which player haven't I talked about? Which player maybe I underrate too? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and like for more football content. I'll see you in the next video.